Hey everyone, this is Mike, and today we are back in Curse of the Dead Gods. Now, this game came out about a month ago in early access. I played it on the channel a little bit, took a look at the game as well, going over everything that was kind of available at that time. And a couple of days ago, they had their first major update, which is the Cursed Temple update. And in this one, they basically address a bunch of issues that I kind of had with the game so far. Mostly in the sense that it was a pretty repetitive experience so far. When it came down to like the randomly generated rooms and that kind of stuff, a lot of things looked kind of the same, and after you've played, let's say 2-3 hours or something like that, you'd kind of seen all of the different randomly generated rooms that was there. For example, with the weapons, there were a lot of different weapons in the game with different modifiers and stats on them, but they all kind of looked the same. They had the same skins and that kind of stuff, and basically in this update they are addressing a bunch of that stuff, as well as releasing a new game mode, which is really cool as well. Or actually technically it's 8 new game modes as well. And then they also gave us a little sneak peek of what we can expect in the next update as well. So first of all, let's talk about these new game modes, because that is definitely the highlight of this update for me. It is called the Eternal Cursed game modes, and the way these works is very simple. So we have 4 different explorations right now: short, medium, long, and then the hard mode exploration. And each of these runs have 2 thematic runs, or 2 Eternal Curse game modes that are together with that one. All of the gameplay that you're going to be seeing in the background of the video is all going to be of those cursed, like those Eternal Curse game modes. We have 2 of the short runs that I'm going to be showing off, and then 1 of the medium explorations. For the short runs, what you have is you have a game mode where you are eternally or constantly hallucinating, which is one of the curses that you can normally pick up, where you see everything in black and white, but you can't see anything of your stats and that kind of stuff. So you can't see your HP, you can't see your corruption meter, can't see how much gold you have and that kind of stuff. And then you also get haste, because that is like the upside to this one. You get haste, but on the other hand, you get the hallucination aspect. The other one, which is probably my favorite one, the Cursed Marksman, which is where you are using one of the new weapons that's in the game, which I'll talk about in just a second, which is a cursed bow, and you can only use the bow. So the whole dungeon is remodified so that you never get a floor where you can buy weapons and that kind of stuff, because everything is locked out. You can only use the bow. That's the only weapon that you have available to yourself. And as someone that was never really a fan of the bows, this is actually a real nice like breath of fresh air, I guess you could say, because the bow is very cool. It does AoE damage when you completely charge it up and you get a perfect shot of and that kind of stuff. So definitely looking forward to playing that a bit more. It's probably my favorite game mode so far when it comes down to the cursed game modes that are now available as well. So pretty cool what they did there. Basically, whenever you go in, you can select one of these if you want. The way you unlock them is you do need to have finished the exploration first. So for example, if you've only done short and medium exploration, then these Eternal Curse game modes are not available for the long and the hard mode yet. You do need to finish the exploration first, and then you get access to these new game types, which I think is really cool because it adds to the replayability of this game, which it was lacking a little bit before. Now, together with this, as I said, replayability, randomness of the rooms and that kind of stuff, they kind of address that in this update as well. So there are a new couple of variants when it comes down to the rooms that were added to the game. So you're basically going to come into some new rooms and there's going to be some more variety, which is always really nice to see, because that is one of the big things about roguelikes, is that the rooms are randomly generated, and basically the more rooms are in this random generation pattern, I guess you could call it, the better it is going to be for the gameplay experience. Also means that after you've played maybe another 4 hours or something like that, you might still come across a couple of new rooms that you hadn't seen before, which is always a big plus for me. Now, together with this, they added 10 new curses, meaning that they've doubled the amount of curses that are in the game. It's in the name, Curse of the Dead Gods. Curses are very important to the game feel, so to speak, because they are all a double-edged sword, and it's really cool to kind of learn how to play around these different curses and that kind of stuff. For example, in the gameplay, I'm not sure just when exactly it's gonna be, but in the medium exploration, there is one of the 2 like new game types where all of the temple traps are basically activated. So like all the jaguar statues will fire, the spike traps are on a rhythm based system, the what are they called again, like those flame thingies will automatically trigger and that kind of stuff. But we also have a new curse now where whenever you open a chest, it will attack you. And at first I was like, oh shit, I can't open chests anymore, that kinda sucks. But apparently, because now I've had the curse in a normal run as well, because you can't actually see what the curses do when you do these thematic runs, by the way. But now that I've done it in a normal run, apparently, whenever you parry a chest now, perfect parry, it will open and give you some better loot. So that's kind of like the up and down side of those kind of different like curses and that kind of stuff. Like, for example, Fool's Gold means that there's more gold for you to find, but if you don't pick it up immediately, the gold disappears. So all of the curses in this game are a lot of fun to play with, and I don't necessarily feel like I am penalizing myself for getting curses either, which I think is a really cool gameplay experience, because it's like, on one hand, curses always sound kind of bad, and they do have negatives to them, of course, they are very dangerous, but when you get more experience, once you learn how to play around these curses, that is where you can actually twist them to your advantage, so to speak, and basically like clear out rooms faster or make certain things a lot easier about the game as well, which I think makes for a very cool gameplay experience. Now, as I mentioned, they did add 2 new cursed weapons. We have a shield that when you parry a projectile, it will reflect it back, so it's really cool that you can do that now. And then we have the bow, which, as I said before as well, is one of my favorite things in this update, with that specific game type that uses that bow as well, where your perfect shots will explode on impact, dealing dark blast damage in an AoE around them. Very important to note is that this can hit yourself, and if you get hit by it, you take a lot of damage, and you also get some corruption on it, so make sure that you don't stand too close when you fire this bow. But what's also really cool is that you can just constantly dash around and you consume no stamina, so really fun bow to play around with. As I said, I'm usually not someone to play around with bows, but this one definitely made me reconsider trying out some more bows in the future. We also have one new regular weapon, which is a revolver that will deal damage in a cone behind the initial target, so really cool to see that you get some more AoE abilities on that as well. And then we also have 2 new cursed relics, which is all pretty good fun. Now, another cool thing is with the weapon system is that they felt kind of samey. So there are a lot of different weapons in the game, and with like when it comes down to stats and modifiers on them and that kind of stuff, but they all look the same. They had the same skins and that kind of stuff, which kind of made it boring in my opinion, because even though you were running around with a weapon that had different stats and that kind of stuff, it still looked the same as that other weapon that you just picked up or something like that. So right now they've added a bunch of different skins to the weapons into the game, meaning that it feels a little bit different, because of course, even though the weapon might have already been different before, when it looks the same or exactly the same as the previous weapon that you were using, it might not necessarily feel different. And right now they've basically addressed that, and a bunch of the weapons have a different look to them as well, which kind of adds to the experience as well. Now, outside of this, they balanced a bunch of stuff when it comes down to weapons, relics, and that kind of stuff. And they also added in a couple of visual changes, like for example the greed kill like indicator on the bottom right is different now as well. I believe whenever you pick up stats, you also get a new little animation and that kind of stuff. So it basically just all adds up to the different experiences of this game, which I think so far they are basically pushing the game into the right direction to basically just make it a much better experience. And it already was, because as I said in my overview of the game back when it first released in early access, there was a very good baseline available, a good fundamental baseline to build a great game upon, and it's really nice to see that they are basically doing exactly that. They are adding more curses to the game. The weapon look was something that was really bothering me. They gave all the weapons new skins, they added some new weapons, new relics, more curses. The random generation of the rooms was kind of annoying me as well, that there weren't enough variants to all of the different rooms that were in the game. They added a bunch of new random generated rooms into the game, so definitely looking forward to what they can do with the game next, which, as I said, they gave us a tiny little sneak peek of what is going to be coming, which going to be the Serpent Catacombs, which is going to be a new dungeon, meaning new traps, new enemies, maybe new weapons as well, maybe new curses too, maybe new mini-bosses, because of course they only gave us a little sneak peek. They didn't go too much into detail of everything that we can expect with this new dungeon, so is it just going to be one like short exploration, or is it gonna be a full dungeon like we have with the Jaguar Temple? We're not quite sure about that just yet, but seeing just how far they've already come with this game in the short time that it's been out in early access, it definitely does give me a good feeling of having kind of like opted into this game early, because of course with early access you do have this risk that people can abandon the game, or it can be in developer hell for years, like for example Secrets of Grindia. It's finally almost coming to an end. But it's been like 6 years or something since I've bought into that game and it's still not finished. Whereas something with Curse of the Dead Gods, it looks like they're putting a lot of work and effort into trying to finish this game in a timely manner. And of course, if they put out like consistent updates, that means that I'm gonna be able to come back to this game like once a month for like a few days or something like that, keeping the game fresh for me all the way until it does finally release. So if the game has some more updates in the near future, like for example say next month they release the Serpent Catacombs, maybe part 1 or something like that, then you'll definitely see me play the game again, and I'll just do like a quick overview of the stuff that is back in the new update. I'm definitely going to be keeping up with the game to kind of see what the new stuff is that they release and all of that stuff around there. So that's pretty much it for me. That's the stuff that you can expect in the current update that came out a couple of days ago. Hopefully in the next update, Serpent Catacombs is going to be looking pretty cool as well. Definitely looking forward to that one. But that is going to be it for me for today. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my Patreons for supporting me, and I'll see you in the next one.